Good evening and welcome to Casting Call, the show where we shine the spotlight on some of the voice actors behind your favorite DCAU characters. That's what it's all about. Today's episode,
Efrem Zimbalist Jr.
Zimbalist portrayed the voice of Alfred Pennyworth, the loyal friend and butler to Bruce Wayne throughout the DC animated universe.
Master Dick, dare I ask what's going on?
That's what I'd like to know.
Aside from the first 3 episodes, which are voiced by Clive Revill.
You mean it wasn't you tossing guards out of windows last night?
I only toss butlers, Alfred.
Sorry, Clive, this episode ain't gonna be about you. Maybe you should have had a previous commitment, eh? Zimbalist's first episode of Batman the Animated Series was The Last Laugh, but let's hold on the bat and dive into Zimbalist's early career first.
What's the deal, Alfred?
I said I drew you a bath, sir. April Fools?
Very funny, Alfred.
And before we even start on that, be sure to hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel. This helps us beat the algorithm, and the affirmation sends little jolts of dopamine into our brains. Efrem Zimbalist Jr. was born on November 30th, 1918 in New York City. His father, you guessed it, was Efrem Zimbalist Sr., a concert violinist who immigrated from Russia, and his mother, Alma Gluck, was an opera singer from Romania. So you could say Zimbalist was destined for a career in the performing arts. He received a boarding school education where he acted in school plays, and later trained at the Yale School of Drama before dropping out due to a lack of effort. He became a radio page at NBC Network and took minor TV and theater roles wherever he could find them, while joining the neighborhood Playhouse School of Theater to continue his professional acting training.
A concert violinist father, your mother an opera singer. How was it that the young Efrem Zimbalist turned to acting instead of the life of music?
Good question.
After he served in World War II with the Army Infantry, of which he was awarded the Purple Heart after being wounded in the Battle of Hurtgen Forest, Zimbalist landed his first role on Broadway for The Rugged Path in 1945. Zimbalist became known for his deep, smooth voice, which launched a rich acting career. As part of the American Repertory Theater, Zimbalist performed in classics such as Henry VIII, Androcles and the Lion, and Hedda Gabler. Zimbalist turned his attention to producing theater and started bringing opera to Broadway, starting with The Medium and The Telephone. He won the New York Drama Critics Award and the Pulitzer Prize for Best Musical in 1950 for Giancarlo Menotti's The Consul. His film debut was a year earlier in House of Strangers, but it was short-lived when his wife Emily died of cancer. Zimbalist stopped acting for a few years while in grief and worked for his parents at the Curtis School of Music. He would not return to acting until 1954, when he booked a leading role on the daytime television soap opera Concerning Miss Marlowe.
First thing you need is some new clothes. Have I got a tailor? Uptown. Shoulders.
When Max wants clothes, he'll buy clothes.
Over the next several years, Zimbalist secured a Warner Brothers contract, moved to Hollywood, and played roles in various films and television series with other talented actors of the age. In 1956, Zimbalist appeared on Star Tonight, Goodyear Playhouse, The United States Steel Hour, and Stanley. The following year, he was on The Phil Silvers Show as a musician, Maverick, which was his first recurring role with Warner Brothers as the dashing gambler dandy Jim Buckley, and Conflict as the private eye character Stuart Bailey, which Zimbalist would reprise for the 1958 movie Girl on the Run and the hit TV series 77 Sunset Strip, which ran for 173 episodes, with Zimbalist in the co-lead role.
All that jive about you cutting into bacon strips and noise like that.
That was this morning. This afternoon, I'm filled with love for my fellow man.
Stuart Bailey would also guest star on Hawaiian Eye for 3 episodes throughout 1959 through 1962. Zimbalist played supporting roles on The Alaskans in 1960 and Bronco in 1961, along with the Sugarfoot TV series as a wizard named Kerrigan the Great. During this time, Zimbalist starred in several films, such as Band of Angels in 1957. The next year, he had second leads in Too Much Too Soon, Bombers B-52, The Deep Six, Violent Road, and Home Before Dark. In fact, Zimbalist was in such high demand during this time that Jack L. Warner himself made him take a vacation so he wouldn't get burnt out by his busy schedule. The turn of the decade in 1960 saw Zimbalist act in films such as The Crowded Sky, and in 1961, A Fever in the Blood, and By Love Possessed, which was by Columbia Pictures, a deal that Warner made in exchange for adding a few years to Zimbalist's contract. He worked on The Chapman Report in 1962, Harlow, and The Reward in 1965, the feature film Airport 1975, which was, funnily enough, released in 1974, before ultimately scoring which was possibly one of his best roles in Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn in 1967. Although it must be noted that Zimbalist's roles on television gave him the most notoriety and claim to fame, particularly in the aforementioned 77 Sunset Strip series, as well as Inspector Louis Erskine on the FBI in 1965. During the running of this show, Zimbalist kept a personal relationship with FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, who wanted the show to be technically accurate and showcase his agents in the best light possible, so Hoover mandated that all actors go through a background check. He upheld Zimbalist as a model for Agent's personal appearance, and the two stayed friends for their entire lives. In 2009, Zimbalist was even named an honorary special agent, the FBI's highest civilian honor. The badge was presented by FBI Director Robert Mueller, who praised Zimbalist as an icon who inspired a generation of FBI agents.
The FBI, starring Efrem Zimbalist Jr.
Zimbalist carried on his career for nearly 6 decades and formed a reputation as an utmost gentleman on and off the set. After 77 Sunset Strip completed in 1964, Zimbalist appeared as a fictional journalist in CBS's The Reporter, an episode of Bob Hope Presents the Chrysler Theater, as well as Alfred Hitchcock Hour, a guest role in Rawhide in 1965, and various roles on the Inside Anthology series through 1983.
Boy, Connie, I thought you adored La Boheme.
I loathe La Boheme.
Well, why didn't you tell me? I got tickets for that new play. What's it called? No Money Down?
Oh, no. Marge says that's very depressing.
Darling, they're all depressing these days.
The FBI television show began in 1964 and left little time for other projects during the next decade. But after that show wrapped in 1974, Zimbalist starred in several TV movies like Who's the Black Dahlia in 1975, A Family Upside Down, and Terror Out of the Sky in 1978, as well as The Best Place to Be and The Gathering Part 2 in 1979.
How many, David? Over 500,000 bees?
The 1980s saw Zimbalist continue acting in a variety of shows, like a guest role on Scruples, Beyond Witch Mountain for the Magical World of Disney in 1982, Fantasy Island in 1983, and all in 1984, The Love Boat, Cover Up, Partners in Crime, as well as Hardcastle and McCormick. Zimbalist had recurring roles Charles Cabot in Hotel from 1984 to 1988, Hunter in 1988, and Streets in 1989. He starred in The Avenging feature film in 1982, as well as various TV movies such as Family in Blue that same year, and Charlie's Aunt, Baby Sister, and Shooting Stars the following year. He also played several characters on the Murder, She Wrote TV series from 1988 through 1992.
My late wife kept this key all these years. I wonder what she knew that I don't know. That's not possible.
In 1990, Zimbalist appeared on Who's the Boss, and landed a major recurring role as Don Alejandro de la Vega, the father of Zorro, for the Christian Broadcasting Network's The New Zorro, which is fitting considering he becomes a father figure for another vigilante soon later, though Zimbalist dropped the role after the first season when the show moved outside Madrid, Spain. In 1991, he acted in the comedy Hot Shots, where he parodied his serious persona. Zimbalist also performed numerous narrations and cartoon voice work during this decade, like a recurring role as the voice of King Arthur on the animated series The Legend of Prince Valiant from 1991 to 1993.
Knight of the Round Table, champion of justice and defender of truth. I, King Arthur, call you to this.
It was then that Zimbalist got his first work portraying the voice of a video game character in Gabriel Knight: Sins of the Fathers. He played several characters in the turbocharged Thunderbirds animated series from 1994 to 1995.
Time to send out the T-Birds, Mr. Tracy.
Not so fast, hackers. This is a tricky situation.
Voiced King Arthur once again for 1995's Biker Mice from Mars, and had several guest appearances on various cartoons for Disney, such as Gargoyles in 1995.
The Illuminati will be pleased, Mr. Bluestone. You make an excellent Judas.
Mighty Ducks in 1996.
It's out of the question. But as long as you're here, how about a nice friendly game of cards?
And 101 Dalmatians the series in 1998, as a relative of Cruella de Vil.
Who's in charge here?
Ah, that would be me, Judge Dimsdale DeVille.
He also provided narration for the documentary Jack L. Warner: The Last Mogul in 1993, and continued his television work with guest roles in series like Trade Winds in 1993, and Burke's Law, Heaven Help Us, and The Nanny in 1994. He appeared in One Westwood Kiki in 1995, Picket Fences in 1996, and a recurring guest role in the cult classic sci-fi series Babylon 5, as well as feature film The Street Corner Kids the sequel in 1995, and TV movies Cab to Canada in 1998, and The First Day in 2001.
I know it hurts. Part of the process.
Zimbalist also spent some time in the animated Marvel universe during the 1990s, where he portrayed Dr. Octopus in the classic Spider-Man the Animated Series from 1995 to 1997.
Who am I? What's in the name? An octopus by any other name would still be as deadly?
As well as the Spider-Man video game from Activision in 2000, which used the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game engine.
A perfect world order. Those who cannot share my vision will be crushed by it.
Zimbalist also portrayed Justin Hammer, as well as the experimental robot Firepower that Hammer built to destroy Stark Enterprise in 1995's Iron Man the Animated Series.
This is going exactly as I planned.
During this time, Zimbalist began his memorable portrayal of Alfred Pennyworth in Batman the Animated Series from 1992 through his final performance in Justice League in 2004, with many interesting stops in between, but let's chew on that in more detail in a sec.
Dining in tonight, sir?
I mean, that's why you clicked on this video. That's why we featured him on this channel. But we'll pick the bones and all that DCAU goodness after a quick break to thank our supporters.
I see where Dennis the Menace is one step closer to Juvenile Hall.
Oh, hello there. We're taking a little break from the video today to talk about the Patreon page. Come join me here in my studio. I'm Ted Kendrick. I am today's narrator, and I'm also the writer of the Legacies of the DC Animated Universe webcomic. This is Legacies of the patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. This is a page you can go to support our work here on YouTube. You can get access to the videos about a day early. We've got a bunch of other cool perks like live video chats with the three of us, cool artwork. You can vote on our video content. This is some of the artwork that is I drew it. I drew this to depict all of our lovely Patreon subscribers, two of which are brand new. First, Mr. Pool of Death. He's there with Batman drowning in the pool. That's fun. Thanks for being a part of this, Mr. Pool of Death. We've also got Chris Clark, kind of mild-mannered right there. He looks pretty similar to another mild-mannered character we might be familiar with. Chris is going to be one of the guys that we say every video. In addition to Chris, we've also got our classics like Cody Hazel Malik right there. He's got a little computer face. He's kind of happy to be here. He's got human arms. Thanks, thanks, Cody. Dark Poet 1792. You can see him kind of being dark there, but being a poet. He's got his collection of poetry from 1792. That was a good year. Robert Sterling is up there jumping in the sky. He's got a fork full of spaghetti and meatballs. That's his favorite food. Mac is next to him, based off of mac and cheese noodle. He is a sentient noodle. Cameo Shadowless over here in the corner, just making a cameo in the shadows. We got David Gallagher there in the background. I think he wrote Green Lantern comics for DC. That's kind of cool. Thanks for being here, David. And then here's Luke Mears. He's like a little mouse or gecko or something strange like that. I don't know. Sorry, you're kind of small in the background, Luke. I didn't know what to do with you. Aaron Young is up there as a cloud, because he's in the air. Last but not least, we have Richard Mon 12. There are 11 other Richard Mons out there in the world. Be careful. Anyway, thanks for tuning in today. And if you want to learn more about whatever the heck that was, you can go to patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. All right, it's Alfred time. Everybody all fueled up and ready to go for the grand finale? No?
Then I'll prepare your usual breakfast. Toast, coffee, bandages.
Efrem Zimbalist Jr. performed as the beloved butler in 54 episodes of Batman the Animated Series from 1992 to 1995, as well as Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which had a limited theatrical run in 1993 before it was released to video.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to, sir.
Alfred would return for 1997's The Batman Superman movie, which was originally a 3-part episode titled World's Finest from Superman the Animated Series. The animated feature film Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero was recorded before the Superman episodes, again including Zimbalist as Alfred, but the release to home video was delayed until 1998 to avoid association with 1997's Batman and Robin feature film, which critically flopped.
Well, anything to amuse a lady. If lady is the word I want. Which I doubt.
Zimbalist also performed as Alfred in several video games associated with Batman the Animated Series, such as 1996's The Adventures of Batman and Robin Activity Center, which I played abundantly in my childhood, as well as Batman Vengeance in 2001, which paved the way for the renowned Batman Arkham Asylum series years later. But even though that game featured Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, it's not part of the DCAU, and it didn't include Zimbalist as Alfred, so let's try not to get sidetracked here, okay?
Miss Gordon, I see you've discovered our little secret. Yes, I admit it. I am Batman.
When Batman the Animated Series returned as the new Batman Adventures, Efrem Zimbalist Jr. would continue as Alfred for another 12 episodes between 1997 and 1998, as well as another episode of Superman the Animated Series in 1999 for the Demon Reborn episode. Zimbalist's final years as Alfred Pennyworth came in 2003 when Batman crossed over with Static Shock for the Hard as Nails episode.
Who are you?
Batman.
I don't think so.
Just once, I'd like someone to believe that.
As well as the animated feature film Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, which was also released in 2003.
Squeaked through again, didn't you?
I never fail to marvel at your narrow escape, sir.
Alfred had 3 appearances in Justice League as well, first in Hereafter Part 2.
That's wonderful news, Master Bruce.
And lastly in Starcrossed Part 2 and Part 3.
Hey, that's a giant dinosaur.
And I thought Batman was the detective.
In which there's a particularly comforting scene between Alfred and Hawkgirl in the series' final moments.
Whatever they decide in that room, in my eyes, you'll always be a hero.
In 2003, Zimbalist wrote his memoirs, a book titled My Dinner of Herbs. He lived in Santa Barbara, California, and later in Solvang with his second wife, Stephanie. They had a daughter, also named Stephanie, who became a well-known actress herself. She and her father performed together in the Remington Steele television series in 1982 with Pierce Brosnan. They also acted together on stage in The Night of the Iguana, among other plays like Hamlet. In 2008, Zimbalist appeared in the short film The Delivery, where he helped a young girl with her literacy, and won several awards across the film festival circuit that year and the next.
So I ask you with great love and good to see you, will you autograph my book, Efrem?
How do you spell Zimbalist?
Yeah. And
Zimbalist passed away at his Solvang home at the age of 95 on May 2, 2014. He died of natural causes. His son, Efrem Zimbalist III, said his father was healthy, playing golf 3 days a week, and always in his garden. Zimbalist had 3 children, grandfathered 4, and was a great-grandfather of 3 more. Seems like the life a real Alfred might have led.
Well, he's a little prissy, a little sardonic.
What the heck am I doing, Alfred? This isn't part of the plan. I must be going nuts.
If I may make so bold, Master Bruce, I'd say quite the reverse. Very loyal. Oh, totally loyal and very useful, I think, to Batman.
Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes of Casting Call. We'll keep them coming as long as you want to see them. I've been your host, Ted Kendrick. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Alfred moments, and which voice actors from the DCAU you'd like to see featured next time, here at the Watchtower Database.